Hello and welcome to the Micro Business Development Program Deep Dive Podcast, hosted by three guys in ties. I'm Tyler Jokinen, Micro Business Counselor and Project Embrace Coordinator.
I'm Adam Annunziata, Business Counselor with Brock Community Action.
And I'm Benton Winrich, Business Counselor with Brock Community Action. Welcome to the Deep Dive Podcast. This week, we're discussing one of the most important questions for any business owner or even prospective business owner, which is why start a business? You know, for many business owners or prospective business owners, having that mission statement of why you started the business is really good at dictating where you're going to go with the business, what you're going to do with the business, and how the business is going to operate. Today, we're going to discuss a lot of topics as to, why you want to start a business, or maybe even why you wouldn't want to start a business.
Well, Ben, I think one of the best reasons to start a business is because everyone wants to be their own boss, right? There's many benefits to self-employment, and owning your own business can certainly fulfill those desires to work for yourself. And, you have the ability to then create your own reality as far as a work life goes. And you can balance that through your personal life and, really kind of design a lifestyle based around the business that you decide to start.
I have to play the other side of the argument. So when I had the landscaping business, I was my own boss and I had a couple employees. But here's the key thing. Instead of having one boss through traditional employment, now I had 120 different clients who were the boss. And I had two employees who are also the boss, because you have to make sure that they're happy, productive, and working well. So now I have 122 different bosses, always asking for different things. So yeah, I could set my own hours, but it was always dictated by what the customer wanted. So I can definitely speak from experience on the fact that if you're looking to get into business to be your own boss, that comes with a tremendous amount of responsibility, and it's really driven by what the customers want and need. You can only dictate to the customers at your own peril. So it's really important that the mindset for starting your own business can definitely be independence and wanting to create your own hours. But you need to have a business that works within the hours you want to do. So if you're not a super early morning person, I would definitely not recommend going into business being a dairy farmer. If you would like to work late at nights, you should have a business model that works around that. So I think it's important, like on the outro and the beginning of it, to really have a business set up to meet what you like in your lifestyle.
Yeah, and around lifestyle, that's really one of the key questions as to why you would think you would start a business. It's a mindset. Why you would want to start a business. Some people are obviously content not to put any shame to a 9-to-5 game. We're all in it. So but for some people, they really have that ambition and that drive to go out, venture out on their own, do something that's really their passion. And that can be a really big sell for any prospective business owners, and for many business owners already. There has to be that passion for what you're doing.
Yeah, I totally agree. I have to say, though, that follow your passion advice. How do you guys feel about that? Sometimes following your passion might not necessarily lead to the best business. Do you guys think that there's any other advice of following your passion?
I mean, I think you definitely have to put in a bit of, pragmatism and, really look at yourself and say, is this going to be feasible? And, can I realistically get this done? And I think that's, something that a lot of business owners, especially prospective business owners, need to really sit down and think about, because following your passion can be great, but, depending on what your passion is, sometimes a passion can really only end up being just a passion and not necessarily a full business. And that's fine. But it all has to factor in.
I think that's a great answer, Ben, to Adam's question. Now, when I think about passion in business, it's one of my favorite topics, that you got to have passion and have energy to carry you through the startup cycle of a business for the first 1 to 3 years. But it's also like, I find that a lot of the most successful businesses, actually, they start out as hobbies. So the hobby can be your passion. This is something that you're doing on the side. Maybe you love doing woodworking. Maybe you're into doing blacksmithing on the weekends. Maybe you like doing home improvement projects around the house and you're really good at it, and you've amassed a whole bunch of tools for that. Those are things that I think your passion can be for home improvement or for blacksmithing or for anything along those lines, for doing pottery, and then you can transition that and take that passion and turn it into a side business. And I think that's some of the best way to do it, is to always try to keep your day job well working on building up a good side business and to see what you can bring it to, and maybe that can transition. I think people get in trouble sometimes following their passion, and I can't believe I'm saying this because I'm somebody who truly believes in passion and running after your dreams. But I think we get in trouble when we leap with looking, we don't fully understand it. So it's definitely something that, one of the experienced business counselors is a great resource here at the Micro Business Development Program for you to connect with to really talk about that. And I think that you can get in trouble with passion by just kind of quitting your job and saying, I'm going to start this business, but without having first done a business plan and financial projections to understand, because sometimes that passion, it can be a profitable side business, but other times it can't, or it can pay for itself, but not enough income. So a lot of people who have side businesses, it'll actually pay for the business. So take a woodworker. They can make enough money to pay for some new tools and electricity and their wood, and it can support their hobby, and they can sell some pieces at farmers markets and flea markets in the weekend and do some online. And maybe they make through that, $5,000-$10,000 a year, but it's not going to supplement their full amount of income. So I think it's really, really important to be realistic, very realistic about jumping into this. What are your thoughts on that, Adam?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, if you have a hobby that you're really into and it helps you relieve stress and something you just do on the weekends, if people say that they want to buy your products, that's a great way to start a business. And it can start so small. It's just making one sale. You make one sale and then that person tells another person who might really like the item that they see. And that's kind of how a business can really blossom. And maybe you end up what we call a side hustle, where you're just kind of making a little bit of money on the side. Maybe you can then add scale to that years down the road. And maybe you can build that into your full-time business. But starting off very small, I think is a great way to get going. And I think following your passion in that sense and starting a business in that manner, I think can be very effective.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that's definitely hidden in sort of those speeches about passion and following a hobby and really getting interested, you look at knowledge. It's one of the most important things in starting your business. Maybe if you are that person who's really into home improvement projects, over those years, you've definitely gained a lot of experience and knowledge into what goes into home improvement. Maybe if you're thinking of turning your passion for doing home improvement projects around your house into sort of a handyman, landscape, construction business, you already come in with that knowledge of how to do a lot of these projects. The same thing goes with woodworking. If you just decide to quit your day job and start doing the woodworking thing, but you don't know the first thing about what you need to do it, that's, setting yourself up for failure. But, if your hobby was woodworking for years, you know exactly how to do woodworking, and, maybe you've sold a piece on the side before, you already kind of know what's going to go into, sales. So I think, hidden in a lot of what really is your passion, knowledge to back up your business is definitely a key factor in whether or not you're really going to be very successful, because blind passion is great, but it often overshadows proper preparation.
I'm so thrilled you brought up the knowledge part, Ben. That's the best point. That's the takeaway from the whole thing. That's perfect. So I really, really think that you have to be knowledgeable. You have to have a way. So when we're writing the business plan, we do this as, what's your competitive advantage? What is your advantage entering into this marketplace? And that's a really, really a key component when you're doing a business startup. You need to have a competitive advantage over somebody else who wants to start the business. There are thousands of businesses started across this country every single day. You need to have a competitive advantage that sets you apart. It doesn't matter what the business is. You need to have some either inside knowledge, firsthand experience, and skills. So you got to really think back on your life and different things, and what is something that you have a skill at that's better and something that can be sold in the marketplace, or what's some type of knowledge that you have or connection. Maybe you have a family member or close friend who has a whole bunch of experience there, who can take you under their wing and mentor you through the process. Maybe it's something that you did when you were younger and you were really good at and you really enjoyed, and now you want to get back into it, and that can turn into a hobby and then a side business and expand from there. But the biggest thing is you should have some background knowledge and industry expertise in whatever you're wanting to do. Because if you're trying to make a product in 2020 and bringing this up to such a level that it can be sold in the marketplace online with global competition, you need to bring some serious skill and a really good quality product. The number one thing for businesses, you have to have a good quality product. It doesn't matter how good your marketing and sales are. If they get your product and they're disappointed because the quality is horrible, you need good quality products, good quality service. That can go so far. And the part of providing good quality products and service really starts with being a knowledgeable expert in your industry. If you've never done anything before with woodworking, don't get into a woodworking business. Go with something that you've done before and you have background experience in. That's not saying you can't change and learn and adapt. And if woodworking is your dream and passion, 100% go for it. But it's going to take more time. You need to maintain doing your regular work, keep doing that while starting woodworking as a hobby on the side, and build up that 3 to 5 years of expert knowledge and experience as a hobby, and then move it into a business. But you really need that expertise. I can't stress it enough.
For sure. I think expertise plays a big part in it. And also, if you think about the most successful entrepreneurs, they definitely have a thirst for knowledge and they constantly want to learn. And, that's how businesses evolve. It's learning over time. Sometimes you might have to make modifications. I mean, during COVID times, think about how many people had to use that term pivot. It's true in a sense, because the marketplace is going to change. And if you're not adapting to that change, you're going to probably be lost in the fray. And a thirst for knowledge definitely keeps you on point and moves you ahead in the industry. You can't be afraid to innovate. Sometimes you got to innovate or die. I think there's many companies and businesses writing that lesson, and it's a hard lesson to learn. And I feel for those people, and thirst for knowledge, I think, will kind of help mitigate any of that loss that could potentially occur by just staying on point, knowing your business, knowing the ins and outs, having the experience in the field, and then that thirst for knowledge, I think, can really push you forward.
Absolutely. And I think, picking up on that thirst for knowledge, a really, entrepreneurial minded business owner or prospective business owner, they're going to be able to find that knowledge in a multitude of different sources. Maybe you do your own research on the industry, or maybe you have a job within the industry. One of the best ways to, start a business in a certain industry is working in that industry before. Maybe you're thinking about starting a restaurant. Have you ever worked in a restaurant before? If not, maybe you want to think about working in a restaurant before you just head out and start one on your own. If you think about, you want to start a landscaping or construction business, get some experience working under someone, pick up what, makes them a successful business. Working with and for a successful business is one of the best ways to pick up knowledge on how to be a successful business owner.
I mean, spot on. That's the number one thing that I recommend to clients and they want to start a business and they've never done it before, is get a job in that industry. And that can be a part-time job while you're also doing your full-time one. And that brings me to another point about the business mindset and what it takes to really start a business is it's going to take a lot of hours and work. There's no way around it. You hear me saying working a job and then getting another part-time one on the side to learn about what you want to do. That's true. If you want to go through and start up a successful business, you better be getting used to the idea of working 80 to 100 hours per week, every week for the first 1 to 3 years if you want to build that into something successful. And if you've never worked 80 to 100 hours a week before and you don't know what that feels like, you got to start now. Get that second part-time job, start working on your business and a hobby on the side, and really put in those hours and see what that stress feels like. Because that stress of extra added work hours takes away from home, takes away from family life, takes away from so many other things. You have to have the passion, the commitment to really see yourself through this process. And to really wrap up this whole topic, I mean, you need to have the entrepreneurial mindset. You got to have the passion, the energy. You need to have the industry knowledge and the expertise going in or building up before you get there. You got to have a business that's in the same of a life cycle of the industry that's going to be profitable at that time. If you wanted to start a computer business back in 1940, you're going to be waiting a long time until 1980 till the computer business kicked off. Same thing now. If you want to go and you want to start doing a blacksmithing business, it's going to be really difficult. That was a big booming business in 1750, but in 2020, it is a nice side business and it's something nice that people like to make ornate and ornamental thing. It's no longer a necessity of life. So you got to really know the timing of the market. So if you put the things together, the timing of the market, the entrepreneurial mindset, and your experience, along with the ability to work 80 to 100 hours a week, you can have a successful business. You do all those things with the industry knowledge, you're going to be successful. And if you're having any doubt or you want to have a conversation about starting a business, writing a business plan, you got to contact us. We're the Three Guys in Ties, Brock Community Action, and we're business counselors who have been there and done that, guided hundreds of businesses through the process. We'd be more than happy to talk with you, get you to become a regular client, and really talk to you through this. And this is a free program. All you got to be is 80% or less of state median income, and we can help you for free.
Thank you for listening to the Deep Dive Podcast featuring three guys in ties. Hopefully you've learned something from us here today. And if you would like to learn more about our free business counseling, please check us out on the web at www.mbdp.org. mbdp.org. Thank you for listening, and we hope to hear from you soon.